Hey Bill, we're going to talk a little bit about damage reduction and armor rating. Armor rating, I'm going to be careful to try and get this right. Armor rating is the total value of the armor that you're wearing plus whatever bonuses. Damage reduction is the amount of damage you don't take, physical damage you don't take when you get hit. So for armor rating, this piece of armor here is 72, obviously. Okay. Notice when I put it on, if you can see, if you look at this number here, this is the armor rating, basically. So when it's not on, it's just 72. That's just Smith armor, but I have bonuses, and so when I wear it, it gets to be more. Or maybe a better example is here. It's 86, and I wear it, it's 134. You might also notice down here for armor rating, if you keep your eye here, when I equip it, I get to 640. If I unequip it, I drop down to 324, a difference of almost more than 300, right? What would that be? 648, a little bit less than half. So the reason for that is the bonuses. It's not just the armor rating, there's also the bonuses. And the main bonus here is the heavy armor bonus of if I wear heavy armor in all my places, then I get 25%, and if it's all the same kind of heavy armor, I get another 25%. So we're talking about 50% of the total armor that I'm wearing gets added to my armor rating. That's why the huge the drop in number. So that's armor rating. What the armor rating does is contribute to your damage reduction. The more armor rating you have, the more damage reduction you get. If you barely have any armor and you take 10 points, somebody hits you for 10 points of damage, then you only take 9 points of damage. If you have the maximum amount of armor reduction, which is 80%, and somebody hits you for 10 points, then you only get 2 points of damage. The thing is, the maximum amount of damage reduction you can get is 80%. No matter how much armor rating you pile on, after a certain point, you can't get any more damage reduction. So the question then becomes, what is the limit? At what point in your armor rating do you get to 80%? So if you only need 500 points of armor rating to get to 80%, then it's probably a good idea to stop piling on armor. Maybe you don't have to wear it, so you move faster. Maybe you can wear something that comes along that is not heavy armor or whatever. Maybe you want to wear a piece of cloth, like you want to wear, you find this really cool jeweled headpiece that you want to wear, and you don't need the armor rating because you're already at the cap. So you take off your heavy-duty heavy armor helmet and put on the spiffy thing because you don't need it. You're already at the cap. Even though you're wearing the flimsy, girly headpiece, it doesn't matter because your damage reduction is still at 80%. So if you needed 500 armor rating and you had 600 armor rating and you took off your helmet and you still had 520 armor rating, you would still be at the maximum amount of damage reduction that you could get. But I hope that makes sense. The point is, after a certain point, even though you can still pile on armor rating points, it doesn't contribute to damage reduction. And there's sense in this. Leather armor doesn't contribute as much to armor rating. but you can still get to, but the cap remains the same. Let me give you a concrete example. Um, if you set a, let's see, the amount of armor rating you need is dependent on three things. It's dependent on whether you're wearing 5 pieces of armor, 4 pieces of armor, or no armor. If you're wearing 5 pieces of armor, that means that you're wearing chest, head, feet, hands, and the shield. If you're wearing 4 pieces of armor, same thing, no shield. And no armor is you're just wearing cloth. So you see those 3 different categories. Wearing all 5 pieces, which is 4 pieces plus the shield, or whether we're wearing 4 pieces, no shield, or whether you're wearing no armor at all. Whether it's leather or whether it's heavy armor, it doesn't matter what it is. In other words, what matters to the amount of armor you need, the amount of armor rating you need to get to the maximum amount of damage reduction is not the kind of armor you're wearing, or even whether you're wearing armor or not, but how much armor you're wearing. So specifically, for no armor at all, if you're wearing cloth, then you've got to get armor rating. So you're not going to get armor rating from armor because you're only wearing cloth. So you have to cast spells on yourself. And you would have to have spells on yourself to the tune of 667 armor rating to get to the cap. So if you could cast armor spells on yourself, or in other words, you're casting armor rating on yourself, and you could get that armor rating up to 667, then you would be at 80% damage reduction, which is all you can ever get to. You can never get to 85. Even if you cast 1,000 points of armor rating on yourself, you wouldn't get more than 80% damage reduction. The other tier is simply how, so you've gone from no armor, and the cap is 667. If you're wearing 4 pieces of armor, head, feet, hands, chest, then the cap is 567. Whether it's leather or heavy armor or a combination, if you have 4 pieces on, if you can get the armor rating up to 567, then you are at 80% damage reduction. I'm sorry, this isn't a very visual, not a very visual episode. This is a follower I found in an Orcish stronghold. She was about to become of age and be married off to a Orcish chieftain, but I paid her dowry, and so now she's hanging out with me. If you have 5, the other, so you see I'm just talking about the amount of armor. I'm not talking about the kind of armor. So no armor, 4 pieces of armor, and then 5 pieces of armor is simply adding the shield. So it's chest, head, feet, hands, and a shield. The armor, the amount of armor, however, whatever combination that is, whether it's leather or heavy, the amount of armor rating you would need to get to in order to get to 80% damage reduction is 542. If you were wearing 5 pieces and you got your armor and your armor rating was 892, your damage reduction would still be 80%. So from now on, I'm just going to call that the armor cap, and I'm going to let you figure it out. I'm going to say that is clear enough. I'm going to put a link in the description. But the thing to remember is it has to do with the amount of armor you're wearing. Okay, so no armor at all, you've got to magically get yourself 667. 4 pieces of armor, you have to get it up to 567. If you're wearing 5 pieces of armor, you have to get your armor rating up to 542. Those armor numbers, those armor rating numbers, will under those conditions will get you to 80% damage reduction. Again, there'll be an article down below that you can read about this in more detail. But the point is that if you have more armor rating than that, then it's not doing you any good in terms of getting you a higher amount of damage reduction. 80% is the max you can get, and those are the armor caps. That's it. So let me give you an illustration of why this might be meaningful. So this is Caius Drusus. He's been around a little bit. You've seen him before. And his armor rating today is 640. So he's not wearing a shield, and so his armor cap is going to be 567. Anything more than 567, it doesn't contribute any more to his damage reduction. It makes no difference at all. So he's at 640, and so he's wasting essentially 100 points of armor rating. It's not doing him any good. So I could add the shield. That would bring him to 731, and then if I remove the helmet but add this crazy priest mask, which is also heavy armor, by the way. Here's a light armor. Here's a light armor dragon priest mask, but this one is a heavy armor dragon priest mask. Notice his armor rating is 557, and he needs 542 to get to the armor cap with 5 pieces of heavy armor on. He's got 5 pieces of armor on. He's got the heavy armor dragon mask and all the rest of the matching set. He doesn't get the matching set bonus of 25%, which he does if I put this on. But he does get the 25% armor bonus for wearing all heavy armor if he puts this dragon mask on. So his armor rating is 557. He only needs 542. So with the dragon mask on, he's got 80% damage reduction. And then when I click, if I put on the helmet, and now he's got 731 armor rating, it's still at 80% damage reduction. So Otar, Dragon Priest Mask, he's got 80% damage reduction, but I get all this extra, and he's at 557 armor rating. I put on the helmet, he's at 731 armor rating, but he's still at 80% damage reduction. Boy, I hope that explains it. I've made a couple of attempts to try and articulate it, but I think you get it. You get the idea. So there's not a huge difference between the helmet here at 134 and Otar at 100. I mean, you know, who cares? But one of the differences with the Dragon Priest Mask, for example, is that it has 3 separate enchants. In this case, it's magic resistance for fire, frost, and shock of 30%. So that's 3 different enchants. And in fact, all the dragon masks, there's like 7 Dragon Priest masks. Some of them are heavy, some of them are light, but they all have 3 enchants on them. So if your alchemy is at 100%, you can get 2 enchants on a helmet, but you can't get 3. So in this case, with the shield, it is more advantageous for me to give up the alchemy that I put on this helmet and wear the Otar dragon mask and get the 3 enchants instead of just 1. Or I guess possibly 2 if my enchanting were at 100%, which it ain't. So you see how you can play with it? So you can take that extra armor rating that you're not using and wear a lesser item, maybe give up a bonus, that you're getting from a perk in the heavy armor tree or the light armor tree or whatever, and wear something else. I don't know if there's a ton of occasions where that's useful. But some of these dragon masks, dragon priest masks, are actually pretty cool. This one is actually pretty cool. I would be tempted to do this, but I'm enjoying using my other hand for casting transmute all the time, and I don't want to have to switch to the shield all the time to get my damage resistance up. Well, anyway, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'll put a link to an article below that'll explain it probably better than I'm doing, and I'll put a link to the Dragon Priest Mass. If you collect them all, you can go to Labyrinthian, and there's a thing you can do there. Maybe I'll collect them all and do a video about it. Okay, man. I guess that's it. Thanks for helping out, for hanging out, and I hope that was not too confusing. It's confusing to me, and I'm explaining it, but I think it came out right. All right, man. We'll talk to you later. So long.